Yes, mate. 2014 Maserati Granturismo. As you know, it's the best car in the world, because if you're watching this video, you've already got one. This one comes with the Bose sound system in it, which I think was an option, but quite frankly it sucks, and I mean it really sucks. I'm so disappointed with it. I think it's got something like 19 speakers. I've ripped everything out of the boot just so you can kind of see what to do. I've looked at a number of different options. The best way really is to just stick a bass box in it, like a subwoofer and an amp. I've taken all the trim outside the boot, so you'll probably see what yours looks like and see what mine looks like and realise it's missing a lot. You've obviously got the battery down here, fuse box, but there's quite a big gap underneath there, so I went to put an amp there. There was a metal surround, that's the fuel tank, believe it or not. So there was a metal kind of brace that goes on there, a big panel. I'll show you that now, just so you can kind of see it. It's over there. Big black metal brace that came off, and then bags and bags of trim. One at the top there, one on the side, well, I think two on the side, another one there, and then a bit. It's all easy to remove, it's just time consuming. But the idea is basically to run an amp off there, keep it hidden underneath here. The standard system you've got, that's actually a sub there, Bose sub, but it's just pitiful. I think it's an active powered sub, so this is your amp here. You don't need to remove as much as this to get into it. It's just I wanted to show you, and what I'm also going to do, I'm going to run a cable just for future proofing really, that if I do want to get rid of this sub as well, I've got a cable that can, it's already in there, because to get to access to them you need to access it through the back shelf and take the seats out. I think you have to do if I want to replace that, but I'll try it with a kind of old school sub. But here's your amp anyway. The best thing to buy is something like this. So that's called a line out converter. I went with Kicker. A few people do them, but looking at reviews online on YouTube, Kicker are the best people because there's just no interference whatsoever. So I think it's about 30 quid on Amazon. It's self-powered as well, so you don't need to run it with its own supply. It'll run off the power from the speakers, and you'll also get a remote out, so that can go straight to your amp and then turn off and on without having to run it from a switch or from the head unit or anything. So that looks to me like the perfect option. Here's your different connections through this. The amps will vary on it. This is a Bose amp, but looking at it, this is basically, as a rundown, this is your power and your feed in from your head unit. These are all the speakers out to the different, so they're amplified and then they come out then. That includes the sub as well, even though the sub is active as well. So I think there's a small amp apparently that sits on top of it that powers it. So I'm going to connect this up. I'll show you kind of what I did once it's all connected and how I've got it. And the idea is to have it so the amp sits underneath there. It's quite a big amp, but so it might be a little bit proud. But then I've got a subwoofer box that I can take in and out if I need access to the boot, because it's not exactly the biggest boot for my needs anyway. Yeah, I'll show you when it's done. Yes, okay, it's all wired up. Thought I'd show you everything before I start putting trim back, just so you kind of get an idea of what's going on. Here's your amp. So what you got to do, contrary to what I said in the last video, this top one here on the Bose amp is where your line ins come from the head unit. So you've got positive and negative here for the power, obviously don't tap into them. Then you've got orange, and orange with a black stripe down it, so that's positive and negative, and then you've got blue behind it, underneath it, and then behind the other one, the blue with the black stripe, which is a negative. So this basically the middle two of that port, they're your rear speakers, your rear levels from the head unit. The yellow is the front left, strangely enough. I'm guessing the front right is another one, but I mean, I tried tapping into that accidentally. Don't bother with that, because obviously you want to still maintain your rear and front balance. So just those 4 wires there you tap into. I tapped into it like the old school way really. I just cut a bit off the sheath, soldered it in with some 4 wires here, you see. But you can buy like tappers if you're not comfortable doing that. It's probably an easier way. Just put the wire in, just close it and it taps into that cable. But that's your where you tap into it. Here's the wire. I basically just got some cheap speaker wire just to give it a bit of extension, because you don't get much on the LOC. But here's the LOC, the line out converter. So you've got these 4 wires then. You see I've extended them there with a bit of shrink wrap and solder. So you've got the 4 which is left and right going in, and then you've got a remote out which then will turn your amp on, and you also need to ground it, so I've grounded it to the amp as well. And obviously on the other end of this then you just got your RCAs going to the amp, and then from the amp then you've got your connection for your sub. So it's relatively easy. It took me about half an hour, as long as you know which ones of those are. So hopefully this video will help you on that. It all works. It's great. These LOCs are really good. It used to be janky to kind of link onto a speaker wire before. I mean, they're low inputs anyway, so you're not kind of getting it from a speaker where you're getting high input and then trying to step it down so it's low for the amp. They're low anyway. But the reason I use an LOC is obviously because you've got the the remote out for the amp, which is great because you don't have to put a switch on it or try and find a remote feed 12 volt so that it turns off every time you turn the ignition on, because obviously you don't want it running the whole time when the car's off. It'll drain your battery. What I've also done while I'm in it, it's a 4-channel amp. It's an old school amp, but it's got 4 channels, so I run 2 channels bridge for my sub, 600 watt. I mean, it's only a cheapie, but it does knock. The 2 other channels I've got on it, I thought, well, what can I do with those? So what I've done, I've run speaker wire while it's all open. I've run speaker wire through into the passenger compartment, which is a bit difficult because obviously this fuel tank is in the way. But I looked online, and let me show you. It's not too bad to get in the back. But what you have to do is you have to take the rear back section of the seats out. Most guides online saying you've got to take the seats out, and also this bit here. But you don't really. All you got to do is pop out the armrest, and there's a little plastic surrounding it. You can just put your fingers behind it and pull 3 bolts, and then this whole back comes out. You've got this padding in here, sound insulation, etc. That just pulls out the way, and then you've got, you can see that. There you go, just that there. Got in the car. So you've got all your wires going through from the passenger compartment. I'm guessing this is your main loom. I think this here is the boot release, the emergency boot release that you get kind of down here. Where is it? Yeah, down there. You can cut a hole. This one's a spare plug here, so you can cut a hole through that. But there's actually little spaces around it, little gaps. So all I've done, I've just squeezed it through there, just poked it through. Some speaker wire, got it in the back, and now basically I've got speaker wires to run what I want into the actual the passenger compartment. So it's all there. What I'll do, I'm going to put all this back together. I'm not linking those up. I'll add a bit more onto the video when you see what I'm kind of doing there. But yeah, all relatively straightforward as long as you kind of know what you're doing. The idea is to just run these cables, run back through here, and then kind of down to the side of the seat and tucked into some trim. And they're going to go to some base shakers underneath the seats, 1 each on either side. So yeah, just wanted to show you how easy it is to take the back of these seats out. It's fair play to Maserati build quality, because you know what that's like, but it makes doing things a lot easier. So you basically got your armrest, you pull that down, this pops out here. If you see that they're just spring loaded clips, you can pull them and this thing pops out. Behind it is this, you pull that out, and then you've got 3 bolts, 1, 2, 3. As soon as you undo those, this whole thing, 13mm bolts, the whole back comes out. Yeah, nice and easy. And reverse is the same. It takes 2 minutes, literally. Okay, I thought I'd show you what I'm doing to the bottom of the seat. So I'm taking the seats out. What I'm putting in is base shakers, body shakers they're called. I've got them fitted to my sofa. I've got a good sub in my house, but I've added these to my sofa, and they're great. They're about 40 quid on Amazon. But they kind of hit the low end, the sub 20 hertz like frequencies, and they really make a difference. As I said, 40 quid on Amazon. I've tried all the other ones, butt kickers, body shakers, spent a fortune on them. For the bang for buck, these are great. They're really sensitive, so you don't have to have your system really cranked to feel it. But But yeah, so what I've done, these are the motors for excuse me, the like the chair going back and forward. One of them was actually playing up, so I've swapped two of them at the same time. Obviously you don't need to do that, but if you are having problems with them, they're very easy to swap over to see if you can kind of diagnose it. You can take the chair out with 4 bolts, very easy. Chair comes straight out. You also need to unplug 2 plugs, this one, sorry, 3 plugs, this one, and also this was the airbag. So be a bit careful with that, because you should really disconnect the battery before you do it, and also when you plug it back in, you're going to need it to clear the diagnostic code for it, which the dealer can do, or you can use something which I use, which is an Otel AP200. They're about 50 quid, and they give you full diagnostics for the Maserati. You basically choose one manufacturer for free for 50 odd quid on eBay, and then it links to your phone, and you've got access to all the diagnostics. So what I've done, I've basically removed this here. This was kind of strapped where that was. I did hope to put it up here, which is right under the seat, but I think there's just not enough space. When someone's arse is sitting on there, it's gonna you know, make the seat firmer. So what I've done, I've moved this out the way and mounted it here just by 2 screws, one by there, one by there, into this. It's a plastic frame, but I'm hoping there's enough rigidity in that to kind of vibrate through the seat and hit the low end. And then you've just got positive and negative there, which I'll link onto the speaker wires I ran through to the passenger compartment, all off the same sub. I'm probably going to need a crossover, just so that it gets the read. Do you know what I mean? It's only just hitting the low frequencies on it. It depends on your sub on that, but on my one, the other 2 channels are high pass rather than low pass. Hope that makes sense. I'm going to fit it now and see what it goes like. Here it is, all finished. Takes up most of the boot. I'm quite happy with it. Easy enough to just remove, just unplug that, take it out, I got my boot back. Inside's the same, can't see a thing. It absolutely thumps. It just changes the whole system from just completely underpowered. I mean, you're not going to hear it through the through your TV, obviously, but I mean, it shakes the whole car. It frees up the normal system just to kind of get the mids and the highs, and it just takes all that stress off. Because normally, I mean, if you want any bass in this car with a Bose system, you're kind of cranking the bass right up. You're turning down a treble, and it doesn't sound right. But I mean, you know, it's thumpy enough with bass 1. You know, you can pretty much leave it as everything even on 0, 1, and then it just thumped. I mean, the rear view mirror shakes. The seats are great when you got the bass shakers in the seats. It gives it that extra little kick. I mean, you don't have to do that if you don't want to. But for the price of it, you can't really knock it. The only thing I would say about that is I'm getting a little rattle from here. When I'm thumping it, little rattle, so maybe I might have to kind of delve into that. I don't do it on this chair, just this one, strangely enough. This is the LOC that I got. So KISS Slope 2, input up to 55 watts, output up to 8 volts. You know, have a look at that. That's about 30 quid on Amazon. I paid for that. So that's what you basically need to get if you want to do the same as me. If I didn't have the sub, like my old sub basically, which, you know, has been in my attic. The sub's actually 25 years old, but it was in my first car. But if I didn't have that, what I probably would have done, if you're in that same position, is I probably would have just changed the sub on the back shelf. So if you haven't got an old school sub and you actually just want to start afresh, I probably would, looking online, you can take that back parcel shelf off, put some insulation down on it to kind of give it some extra insulation on it, and then replace the sub. I think it's a 10-inch sub, and you can replace it there, and you can still keep your boot. I don't think it'd rattle anything like it does on my car, because it thumps. This system does now. It's gone from one extreme to the other. It's clear, it's crystal. It's amazing. It really is. But I think if you don't want to do that and you don't want such overkill, the sub on the back shelf is perfectly fine for it. I hope this video helps someone anyway.
again, it's when I do things like this, I'm ended up reading on the internet for a long time, so a YouTube video normally goes a long way. If you like my videos and it helped at all, give me a subscribe. There'll be lots of other, I'm going to do a review on this, any little other things I do on a car. I've got one on spacers, which if you haven't got spacers on your Gran Turismo, worth definitely checking that out. But yeah, give me a subscribe, and I'll try and do more videos as the time goes on. Thanks all.